The first pro of this 2023 CX-50 is going to be the looks. I really appreciate the aggressive, more squared off look of the CX-50 compared to the CX-5. They've really nailed the demeanor of this. Out on the road, people are looking at it, they're taking notice to it. The 20-inch wheels certainly help. I think this is one of the best wheel designs that Mazda has implemented. We also have a Meridian package if you're into the off-road look. They're offering you 18-inch wheels with all-terrain tires, and you can also get an optional roof rack with that. But overall, the looks is going to be the first pro. One of the cons is going to be, well, the price. There is a price associated with the looks. You have to keep in mind this is not based on the CX-5. This is not a replacement for the CX-5. Both the CX-50 and the CX-5, they will be sold side by side next to each other in a dealership. But compared to a CX-5, you will be paying a premium for the CX-50. Now, they're advertising this as a off-road Mazda, if you will. This is not a true off-roader like a Jeep Wrangler. Okay, this is not going to be conquering the Moab or anything like that. But that's how they are advertising this, and this genuinely has some other advantages compared to a CX-5 in terms of the towing. This can tow up to 3,500 pounds, whereas a CX-5 can only tow up to 2,000 pounds. That's something to note there. But overall, for most families, it just makes sense to buy the more affordable CX-5. But I will say, if you are planning on buying a more fully loaded CX-5, one of the fully loaded turbo models, then at that point, if you really like the way this looks, you can upgrade to the CX-50 if you so choose. The next pro is going to be the interior space. Like with most Mazdas, it's upscale, it's premium. You have plenty of physical buttons. The infotainment is easy to use. There's no learning curve here. It's ergonomic. Everything is easy to access. The seats are super comfortable. You have plenty of lumbar support. The seating position is excellent. You can see absolutely everything out of this. Side view mirrors do a great job. That's all nice. Mazda pretty much nails that with all of their cars. The next pro is going to be with the way that this SUV drives, because one of the complaints that I keep hearing is the fact that the CX-50 now utilizes a torsion beam rear suspension, but that's not really a con in my opinion, because this is not the first time Mazda has implemented a torsion beam rear suspension in a car. They've used this with the Mazda 3 and the CX-30s, and all of these cars, they handle great, they ride amazing. It's really not an issue. In fact, I even had some people in the rear seats, and they reported to me that the car still rides amazing in the back, similar to a CX-5. It's not an issue. It's not even worth bringing up, honestly. And that's high praise to say that this rides like a CX-5, because that car utilizes a multi-link rear suspension and rides amazing. So this is exactly the same. It handles the same. You can fling this into corners, and there's pretty much no body roll. They've completely mitigated the torque steering effect. They've really got that under control here. Obviously, all-wheel drive is standard, and that's another pro with both the CX-5 and the CX-50. But yeah, the use of the torsion beam, it's not affecting anything here. In fact, they went with that to help out with the off-roading of this car. They wanted this to feel neutral and balanced over a dirt road, a gravel road. They didn't want you bouncing all over the place, feeling car sick. They wanted to reduce that, and that's one of the reasons why they went with a more simplistic rear suspension design. But what's impressive is they haven't sacrificed anything out on the road. That's what I like. The steering weight is perfect in typical Mazda fashion. So well done there. One of the cons I've noticed driving this is going to be with the brakes, and I've noticed this with other Mazda vehicles as well, and it feels a bit soft. You really have to get in on it to get the maximum braking performance, I've noticed. But that is a quick fix. You can just swap out the brake pads. It's not really a big deal, but I just want to bring that to your attention. But a huge pro is going to be with the engine options that Mazda gives you. I really like both the non-turbocharged 4-cylinder, and I of course love this turbocharged model with 256 horsepower, 320 pounds-feet of torque. It really gets up and goes extremely well. No issues there. But this turbo model, it's not going to throw you into the back seat. Mazda does a great job in the weight transfer control. When you floor it, the car remains neutral. You don't get thrown back into your seat. And when you're hard on the brakes, you also don't really feel that transferring effect, that weight transfer effect where you feel like you're going to shoot through the front windshield. That doesn't happen here. They do a great job in making sure all of the occupants remain neutral. But one con with these engines is going to be the fact that they're not the most efficient. They don't get the best fuel economy. I get around 20 in the city and I get about 27 on the highway. It's not bad, but it's not amazing. I certainly don't meet Mazda's numbers. If you went with the regular 4-cylinder, the non-turbo, it'll get 1 mpg better in the city and out on the highway, just so you know. Not a huge upgrade. A lot of that has to do with the 6-speed automatic, which is a pro in the way that it performs. It shifts seamlessly. You hardly even notice it. It's smooth. Gives me the right gear when I want it. In fact, I can just drive this around in the comfort mode, and the car does a brilliant job when I floor it. It shifts down for me. The paddle shifters do a great job. So that's well done. But the problem is, other vehicles that utilize a 8-speed automatic or even a CVT, they're going to get far better fuel economy than the 6-speed automatic. Case in point, the RAV4 with the 8-speed, I can easily get 25 in the city and over 30 mpg on the highway without even trying. Driving more aggressively, I can meet or exceed the EPA numbers. Same thing with some of the Volkswagen products. I can meet and exceed the EPA figures. So just so you know, fuel economy is a bit of a con for me, but it's not the worst. I certainly don't mind because this is still a cool drivetrain setup. This 4-cylinder actually sounds good, and that's a pro for once. I like how Mazda has implemented some of those blow-off effects with the turbocharged engine. Sounds good, sounds aggressive. The Bose audio system found in the interior space, that's actually going to be a pro and a con because I like the way it sounds. I just don't like the way it's priced because they really force you to go up in trim level to get the Bose audio system. It's a great sound system. It's worth getting. However, it's not like a separate option that you can get with the regular Mazda CX-50s. You really have to get one of the more premium trim levels in order to get that, and that can be very expensive. On the non-turbocharged 4-cylinder, you're looking at paying around 37, 38 grand to get the Bose audio. And with the turbo models, you're paying well over 40 grand. So that's not cool. I don't like the way it's priced, but I do like the way it sounds. Another con with this interior is going to be with the wireless charging pad. It doesn't seem to work when I have a phone case over my iPhone 13 Pro Max. I don't have an issue in the Ford Maverick or the Audi Q5 that I tested. My phone charges just fine with my phone case on it. So a lot of car companies like Genesis, Lexus, Mazda, they really need to improve their wireless charging technology. They have things like wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. That's a massive pro with this Mazda. It's already a fantastic infotainment, but they're also giving you the wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I just wish the wireless charger would work more properly, but again, just something I noticed. Maybe it charges other phones just fine. But more pros with this interior space. I mean, you have so much legroom in the back simply because they did a great job mounting the front seats up a little bit higher, so you can actually stow your feet underneath the front seats here, and that helps tremendously with the amount of space you have. The headroom and everything is fine. I'm 5'11". I don't have an issue sitting in the back or in the front. I will say a Mazda CX-50 is about 185 inches long total, which is about 5 inches longer than a CX-5, and this also has a 110 inch long wheelbase as opposed to a CX-5, which has a 106 inch wheelbase, which is about 4 inches shorter. Yet we don't get 4 inches of more legroom here in the CX-50. In fact, the headroom, the legroom, it's pretty much identical to the CX-5. It's just tenths of an inch more or less headroom or legroom, but it's about the same. I will say the trunk in this CX-50 is massive, and that's another pro with this. I feel like it is larger than the CX-5. It's very deep, and I appreciate that. It's very easy to put down the second row seats. You just press that lever and just goes down effortlessly. I really appreciate that, as long as it doesn't get caught up in the seatbelt. And yeah, overall, this is a solid choice. Again, it's a cool Mazda. It's a cool looking vehicle. It has all the great Mazda traits like refinement, build quality, a premium interior space with some easy to use technology. That's another thing I forgot to mention, the safety. Like, all the safety features are standard with a Mazda, and they're pretty much all IIHS top safety picks. So even in a crash test, you can be rest assured that your family is going to be totally fine and safe. That's another huge benefit with Mazda products. Even though the CX-50 hasn't been tested yet, we can just assume based off of the CX-5 that this is going to be an ultra safe car. so that's not an issue. So if you're an owner of this, let me know your thoughts, but the next video will be on the end screen here. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you there.